10 or 15 23s because they started work to reconcile everything. So that's why there's so many at once. But the actual answer to your question is the current year is another year. So at the end of 23, we had to work very hard to make sure everything was closed for 2022, which we did. And then 2022 and 21, et cetera.
So just a follow-up from that, does everything that's unspent, so on 12/31, if there's $100 in 10 accounts that's hasn't been spent,
Right.
does that all roll over, or do we have to make a physical entry to encumber it?
It has to be encumbered before the end of the year, right? However, I take that back. It depends what it is. So right now, if all of a sudden a bill comes in from a contractor from something they did in October and it somehow slipped through the cracks, we can create a 24 purchase order utilizing the 23 money. We can't do that once 24 is over. And that'll happen sometimes, but not very often because, people create the requisition purchase order when it's appropriate. But sometimes things sneak by.
No, understood. So,
Mr. Allman, could you speak into the microphone, please?
I'm sorry. So so you answered my question, but
Created another one?
no. I guess really the specific question is, how are these balances encumbered? Is there a physical entry, or at year end, whatever is unspent rolls over?
Yes and yes. So if the line starts with $1,000 and then I encumber something for $1,000, but I don't spend anything else and I didn't reconcile it before the end of the year, the balance, the money that's still there is $10,000 because we didn't pay anything. But the available balance is $9,000. The encumbered balance is $1,000. So when I do these printouts in Edmonds, like I gave you gave the council all the history for the first quarter, that's what it'll show. I mean, there's a couple other columns there, but it'll show you what was the budget amount, 10,000. 1,000 is encumbered, which means we didn't actually pay anybody yet. And then the 9,000 would be the balance, meaning that's what we have available to spend. So that's just how I don't know if I could say it automatically does it. John doesn't have to, the CFO doesn't have to physically enter that money in there. It stays in there. But once the following year closes, then that's when it all goes to surplus from reserve.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Allman? Anything else? Roll call?
Sorry about that.
Sure.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Fasano.
Yes. PSA for May 20th, 2024. The Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony will be held on Monday, May 27th from 10 a.m. to noon. Please visit our website for further information. Election information. Primary day is Tuesday, June 4th. Polls will open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting locations will open Wednesday, May 29th through Sunday, June 2nd. Please visit our website for hours and locations. The ballot drop box is located at Town Hall. The lightning detection system at all fields is fully operational once again at this time. Thank you, Mr. DiCarlo, for getting that done.
You're welcome, sir.
And the DPW, I guess, because they were
Absolutely,
involved in that.
yes.
PSE&G is replacing existing electric meters with new smart meters throughout the town. Please visit our website for further information. Motor Vehicle Commission was in town May 16th and serviced the following. 63 real IDs were issued, 2 driver's licenses, 2 IDs, 11 registrations, 26 surrendered plates, 3 handicap placards, 1 DV placard, 8 titles, and 8 motor vehicle inspections were performed. Thank you for the Motor Vehicle Commission for providing this to us at our convenience in town. What is beeping?
It's saying low recording levels are found.
Is it coming from there? Also, township offices will be closed Monday, May 27th in observance of Memorial Day. The veteran banner sales will reopen to all on June 1st, 2024. Please visit the township website for further information. The next council meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 5th at 7 p.m. Thank you. Approval of minutes. Public meeting, August 14, 2023. Conference meeting, August 14, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Allman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
And Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Public meeting, September 5th, 2023. Conference meeting, September 5th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Allman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Public meeting, September 18, 2023. Conference meeting, September 18, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Allman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Abstain.
And Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Public meeting, October 2nd, 2023. Conference meeting, October 2nd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Allman.
Abstain?
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Mr. DeCarlo, administration follow-up report.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Council President DeSena,
Thank
rest
you.
of the council members and the public. The biggest thing to advise everyone of is we're happy to say that the bid for Calvin Street resurfacing went out last week with the bid opening of May 29th. That'll be for Calvin and Dawes. Mr. Ullman had sent a request for a capital balance as of the date of our last meeting that was sent to the entire council, along with our first quarter expenses for 2024, which have been reviewed by myself, my assistant, and our finance department. There are still a couple of corrections that need to be made, but I'm unable to make it until the actual budget approves itself on June 5th, and we fund a couple lines. One example would be OLGC that we're paying out of the capital line. The other thing, we requested to get a concept for the ambulance building, which the mayor will discuss later during conference. And the last follow-up was just, I don't remember really the question. I think it was, what was the grant award amount for open space? So I had prepared an email sent to council. I'd just like to real quick. Council, when the grant was applied for, the anticipated purchase price was in the area of $880,000. This was based on the two appraisals we had completed. Mr. Pollard was able to successfully negotiate a lower purchase price. The grant award will be for 63% of the total cost of acquisition, not to exceed a total grant award of $550,000. However, total cost also includes legal fees, survey, title work, recording fees. At this time, until completed, the definite amount of grant reimbursement is undetermined. However, will not exceed $550,000 based on the anticipated purchase price and the fees. We should come close to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Motion to open the meeting up to the general public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody in the public like to comment? What a gentleman, Mr. Buckley.
Good evening, Julie Lipnick, 184. for the
Good evening,
place.
Mrs. Lipnick.
First, some accolades. Councilman Sears, thank you so much for those banners. Pascack Road looks absolutely
Ms.
beautiful.
Velez?
And I know Councilwoman
Heather
Velez,
Hendry?
you were, I'm sure you've gotten accolades. I know I have. A lot of people are very, very impressed. My second accolade is to Laura Rifkin at the library. What a professional. She reached out to us based on the upcoming construction, giving us, all the information we needed and the go-ahead regarding lighting and noise. I mean, she really is a wonderful, wonderful person, an asset to the community. I was on the website and I did not see a construction official's name listed. Do we have a construction official?
Yes,
We do?
Darius report.
Oh,
It
okay.
should be on there.
It was about a month or two ago and I didn't see any.
Okay.
So I just wanted to find out if we had one.
I will check.
We do have one. He may not be listed there, Ms. Lipnick, but we do have one. Correct.
It's not that we have to go to another town
No,
or
we
call
have our
someone in, it's a staff member. My other matter that is of great concern, I know Mayor, you as well as everybody on council has been extremely concerned about the flooding here in town. Even though I am not impacted directly, doesn't say that I'm not concerned. About 2 months ago, there was on Power and Politics on Channel 12, the governor had a session. Mayor of Manville called in and addressed his concern because Manville had a lot of flooding. A lot of the residents there hadn't been back in their homes for almost 2 years because of all the flooding. The mayor of Manville executed a moratorium on building across Manville so that they can somehow try and mitigate the problem. The governor's answer, oddly enough, was, oh, you're to be commended, but just know this. Just because you're doing something about a moratorium doesn't mean you're not going to be impacted, because it's also what goes around you, what's north of you, what happens, all plays a factor. So that said, that was probably one of the most intelligent things I heard come out of Trenton recently. Recently, what caught my attention is an article that appeared that Phil Murphy is addressing flooding in New Jersey and has come out with this 1,058-page document regarding flooding. Scientists, he says, say that the shore area is going to be obsolete. The ocean will be like all along Manahawkin and just going to swallow up the earth, so to speak. So he went ahead and, because the sea levels are increasing, he has come up with a plan. However, in this 1,058-page document, and I read it, the Murphy administration is also forcing communities across New Jersey to build high-density residential apartment complexes and affordable housing in economically preserved and sensitive areas, some being South Jersey and Central Jersey. Those affordable housing mandates
1 minute, Mrs. Lipnick.
are forcing towns to allow developers to clear cut thousands of acres of greenland and untouched land annually. So my question is, what can we do to fight against this mandate? And we know what it does here. And I also know from my history and construction department, there was once a builder north of us who was dumping construction waste into the Saddle River. Flowed downward, turned the Saddle River orange. And yes, he was fined heavily by the DEP. His answer was, I'll pay the fine because the fine is equal to the profit on the sale of one house. So it is a big problem, and I'm just addressing it tonight to see what can be done, and I'd be more than happy to join anything that you plan to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lipnick. Would anybody else in the audience like to come up and address the council at this time?
Paul Belfiore, 10 Hampshire Road.
Good evening, Ms. Belfiore.
How's everyone doing? Couple of questions I have. I wanted to know, will the town request the owner to replant the trees at 1 East Glen that were clear cut a couple of months ago?
I believe we were in litigation with the owner of that property. They don't live in the state of New Jersey, right, Mr. Pollak?
Right.
They are out-of-town owners. I know there was
What's the resolution that you're going for?
They are fined, correct? And the fine does include replanting, correct, Mr. Pollak?
They have to the property also,
They have to what?
Replant the property.
replant the property.
Okay. any
But it's in
timeline on that?
court. We don't.
It's still in court.
It's in municipal court.
Yeah.
It's a municipal court, Mr.
Okay.
Belfiore. So right now, there's a heavy fine say that, right? There was a heavy fine issued to the
Well, There's
owner.
an issue, it's
Yeah.
up to the court,
It's up to the court. A fine was issued
but there's a requirement for
for replanting, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, Mr. Belfiore, they will not be 50-foot trees.
No, I understand.
No, but people in town think we're gonna, it's gonna be
No.
they're gonna replant trees there, but it won't be to the caliber they took down without permission.
That's understood. And then as a follow-up to that, can the town purchase 1 East Glen for open space? Being that it's a lot that's been a difficult lot to sell and hasn't been built on for a long time, since inception, I guess. It abuts East Glen and the Parkway, and it's.
So,
Mr. Belfiore, could you just speak into the microphone, please? You can lift it up a little bit too.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
to know if 1 East Glen would qualify to be purchased by the town as an open space.
Well, it's not contiguous to any open space in town.
It's not what?
It's not, there's no open space attached to it, like, it's just a
Is that
residential
Is
lot.
that a requirement?
I mean, there are pocket parks that exist.
Yes. but
You can speak up, everybody.
Mr. Pollard is saying that it would
You
be,
can't take property unless you condemn the property. There's either the person wants to sell the property voluntarily, or you have to go through
Well,
condemnation.
it is for sale, and I know that the town has a fine against it. I'm wondering maybe that you guys can mitigate the price with the fine, possibly get it at a very discounted price.
well, it is in Utah a lot, you can't get to it.
It's a
So
lot.
the lot, you can't get access to it, that's why it's been for sale
Right,
since the beginning of time, is because
Right.
there's no access to that lot, so
right.
I don't,
The town made the lot.
well, the zoning made the lot, yes, not the town, yes.
May I, Council President,
Yeah.
ask a question? Would you be against the town purchasing that property and storing its excess equipment down there? Instead
You
of
mean like-
storing it up at Our Lady of Good Counsel and paying a chunk every month? Buy that property and then we would store.
I would be opposed to that because it's a residential community. It's, not really commercial.
I think I hear what you're saying, Mr. Belfiore. It's a tough lot to come up with a good grant application because there's no, if you did anything with it, you're gonna be parking on the street. If you made it a pocket park, like Mrs. Velez had said, you'd be parking in front of all those neighbors on
Well, it doesn't
Madeline
necessarily
Court.
have to be a park. I mean, just dedicated to trees, period. And let it be
But-
green space.
But we can't buy property just to buy property unless it's got a use it's got to benefit the town.
It
So
would benefit the town because it wouldn't be, built on, it would be aesthetically pleasing.
we can't do that.
Just
We can't buy property like Mr. Pollard just
to
said.
prevent building. You have to have a legitimate for condemnation.
All right, I just thought maybe it was a solution to a difficult, situation there.
I think the situation is being rectified in municipal court. We don't have an answer from when it'll be, but the intent right now is that the fine has been levied, and as part of the fine, they do have to replant the property, Mr. Belfiore. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Mayor?
I agree.
All right, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Mr. Anything else?
Yeah, and then. I was
You have
just-
1 minute, by the way. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I was just involved with a variance situation, and I wanted to know why the public only gets 3 working days notice on the information that's in the variance. Because it gets posted Wednesday night at like midnight. The town gets notified, so we can look at the website Thursday, and then the zoning board meeting is Tuesday. So unless you have no plans and you could juggle your schedule and get to the zoning board meeting and kind of put in your opinion, I think 3 days notice is a little
Is that legal, Mr.
tight.
Correct?
Is there a reason for that?
He's saying that he got notice 3 days before it was posted on the website.
He took that notice of it.
You got notice that there was a
Well,
variance being.
I got the certified letter, and when I called the town, they said it's going to be posted on the website. It didn't get posted until Wednesday night at like midnight.
But you got the letter.
I got the letter.
So, but the letter does say you can come up to town hall and look at it, but it just didn't get posted.
Yeah.
There's no legal requirement to post it. That's just something we do for our residents. So the letter of the law states that the letter is telling you it's here for your review at town hall.
Why is it posted anyway then?
just so you have people to look
Can
at
we
it.
speed that up though? I mean,
It's, it's a very busy department, and it's something we do as a courtesy to the residents, is
Okay.
not a requirement.
I just find it odd that,
Well, you gotta think of it, to get those big sheets scanned is not something we do in-house. So it's gotta be all coordinated to get them scanned and PDF'd and all, so it does take time.
all right. And then the last thing, if I could just take one more minute. Can the town ask the Parkway to conduct a decibel reading to determine the current noise level of the Parkway and if a sound wall is required?
I've spoken, and I know the mayor has, the Parkway is not building sound walls at this time. So I've gone and met with them. I know the mayor, I believe you did this year. I know I went 2 years ago. I went and met with a representative, and at this present time, no sound wall construction on the Turnpike or the Parkway is occurring.
Okay, is there a catalyst to have them build it?
At this time, no, they're not building any sound walls anywhere. That was, right, Mr. Mayor? That's the response you got this year?
Yes.
And I got
Yep.
2 years ago.
They're still opposed to it.
They're still opposed to any sound walls anywhere on the Turnpike or the Parkway, since they are one authority right now.
I see. Okay.
Because we did go meet with them, and they said, absolutely not, we're not building,
I just-
we won't build them for you, we won't build them for anybody
No, I
else,
don't-
yeah.
Not specifically.
Not you personally, I meant like the township
Yeah, the
president.
town. I mean, there seems to be more and more traffic. Maybe the town here can get together and at least start the process, because I can imagine 5 to 10 years from now, it's going to be 10 times worse, so just.
Well, I guess the process of petitioning them to do it was asked by myself last time I was on council. I know the mayor went, January of this year you met with the Turnpike, I believe?
Well, we met with them on a different topic, but we reached out to the right people who said, yeah, they're not entertaining it, they're not doing it for any municipalities, and they haven't for quite a few years. It's just not on their radar any longer.
Is there any legal recourse the town can take?
I defer to Mr. Paulo, but I doubt it.
What is there any legal recourse for us to ask the Parkway
Can we sue
to
the
build
state?
sound walls?
It doesn't affect the noise ordinances in town or anything like that?
Our ordinances don't govern them.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Booker.
much.
Would anybody else in the audience like to address the council at this time? Seeing no one, is anybody on Zoom? Seeing no one, motion to close the public meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Just a quick recap. I know the past council president used to read a little thing about like decorum at council meetings. I personally, as council president, will not stand for anything that happened last meeting. So I am not going to read a statement. I will just shut it down with Mrs. Witkowski. And if anybody on the dais objects to it, they can object to it, but I will not stand for any type of actions like at the last meeting. So I'm not going to read a statement like was done in the past, which was very nice, but I don't think we have to. I think we're all grown adults, and residents should follow the rules without being told to follow the rules. So happened to the statement. I did take it out because I thought it was asking for attention. That the thing is beeping again, saying we have low volume.
And I apologize, everything is on, everybody's microphone is on, everybody's talking. Unless everybody just tried speaking into the microphone a little bit more, I
Yep.
don't know what else to do, and I apologize unless you shut it down.
We're going to hold a public. You want to take 5 minutes to shut it down?
Restart it?
I could do that if you want,
Unplug
but
it?
you know what, let's get the public
Yeah,
hearing.
let's do the public
because
hearing.
Mr. Bruno's here and.
Yep. We have a public hearing for Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund Park Improvement Program application. The Township of Washington desires to obtain funds for open space and recreational use. To participate in the public hearing portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Buno? Mr. Buno running the public meeting?
No, you can make a statement if you'd like.
I guess Mr. Buno just tell us where we're going after here. If you don't mind.
Procedurally, our obligation right now is to ask the public who may be listening in if they have any comments about the plan, and then we can address any questions.
Okay. There is no one on Zoom right now. Anybody in the audience like to address the public hearing? Nope. Okay. Motion to close the public hearing, excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Buick, could you just give us a quick recap of what you're doing, just so the residents know what we
Sure.
just had a public hearing for? Just very quickly, you don't have to go through every aspect of it.
No problem. Basically, we're going to Bergen County Open Space, requesting $100,000 for additional preliminary work at the Forum Recreation Club. There's a $100,000 matching fund requirement with this, but as we mentioned before, we have the money in reserve. Ordinarily, although we're asking for $100,000, honestly, I don't anticipate the award to be that high. It could be $60,000 to $80,000. Again, it would be for preliminary design work, surveying, additional testing, and we're characterizing it as phase 2.
Thank you.
And it's necessary to complete the project and come up with final design and cost.
Thank you, Mr. Buick.
Thank you.
Ordinance adoption, second reading, ordinance number 24-07, an ordinance revising the criteria for LoSAP awards to members of the Township of Washington Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Resolution 24-215, authorized second reading and opening of continued public hearing for ordinance 24-07. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Sorry.
Councilwoman Velez.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 24-07.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 24-07 at second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
No.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Ordinance number 24-08, calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45, period 14. Resolution 24-247, authorized second reading and opening of public hearing for ordinance 24-08. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 24-08. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call?
Nobody was over here. Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 24-08 at second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Ordinance number 24-09, an ordinance permitting overnight parking for active first responders of the Township of Washington. Resolution number 24-248, authorizing second reading and opening of public hearing for ordinance 24-09. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 24-09.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Give you a second. Go ahead.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 24-09 at second reading by title. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Ordinance number 24-10, bond ordinance appropriating $1,010,000 and authorizing the issuance of $961,000 in bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen, New Jersey. Resolution number 24-249, authorizing second reading and opening of public hearing for ordinance 24-10. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Abstain.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
This is just open for discussion, correct?
Yes. This
This
is
is just for discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is opening the public hearing.
It's a public hearing.
Okay, yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance number 24-10. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Abstain?
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez. You're just
Yes,
closing the public hearing.
yes.
Council President DeSena.
Abstain. Motion to adopt ordinance 24-10 as second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Are you seconding or are you?
I'll second. Roll call. I'm waiting for you to finish typing.
I'm done. Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
No,
I just lost her. Council President
I
DeSena.
will abstain. Well, can I vote because it has funding for my organization?
Is this for capital?
Yeah.
Oh. I apologize. I'm sorry.
You had three, you had
We're good.
1, 2.
Right.
No, you're not good. It's a bond ordinance.
You had three
Bond ordinance.
yeses, one no.
But my
one
abstention
abstain,
goes
one
right to the
abstention.
majority, doesn't it?
No.
Perhaps,
No.
You need four, you need four.
Before.
perhaps we can
But the abstention doesn't go to a yes?
No,
ask
no. I don't, I'm not, that's our ordinance says that, but I'm not sure when it comes to bonding, whether you have to have four, it says affirmative votes, and I'm not sure that just the interpretation.
Well, is it okay for me to vote on something that,
What do you have?
well, if they're doing work on the fields, I just don't want
What's the fields got to do with?
to. Okay, then I'll vote yes. Okay.
Well, Ken,
It's, you're not, I mean, your organization uses the field, but you're not.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
you're
I
not
just don't want,
personally-
unless it's, yeah.
You also use the roads.
Correct, you're
You also
absolutely
use the buildings.
You're absolutely.
Start walking,
Have you looked
start
at,
walking on people's grass.
let's revote that line.
can we
since
revote
we're-
that line?
can we revote that, Mr. Pollard? Is that okay? We take a revote?
You make a motion to.
Can I take a motion to revote on, to adopt ordinance 24-10
So
at
moved.
second reading?
Second.
Roll call.
Hold on 1 second.
You
Now
type
you're going like,
faster,
you
yeah.
know. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna, no. All right, let me just do something really quick. All right. Motion to revote adopt
24-10.
2410. Motion was by, I'm sorry.
Mr. Cassie, I believe.
Yeah.
And Mr. Shears seconded.
Oh, what's going on? You ready?
Yes.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
No.
Councilman Omen.
yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
I just, I'm not looking to hold up our capital. But I will say I'm disappointed in that we cannot add our road program back on. I know we have this flooding issue that needs to be addressed.
Well, I'm committed to seeing if we get the funding money, I will add it back on. That's my commitment. I don't know what the rest of the council is, and I think it's your commitment and Mr. Sears' commitment, right? So I think we
But
have
we're
enough.
not going to get that money potentially for a while. And
I'm hoping not. I think they
we're going
made
to
it
be
sound like,
behind schedule on our road program. That's my concern.
I'm not in disagreement with you, but it's,
If, again, with that letter that I got from Alex, where we have the money to cover to add, and it's in capital, it's only going to increase about $11. And I know you don't want to fall behind on the road department, which means that we're going to be 2 years behind on the road. I'm just looking ahead at,
okay, I'm not
for
disagreeing.
$11, I don't want to.
It isn't $11. $500,000.
Roughly,
Not gonna-
well, $500,000, but the bonds is only going to increase $11 over the 2025.
Yeah, but then when you add it
Yeah.
to the rest of the bonds we're putting in there, we're at like 20, it's a lot of money.
May I ask the mayor a question?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, on the bond, when we talked to Alex,
Yes.
he said it would only increase $11 over what we got now, 11 to 15. I'm sorry.
The rule of thumb has been, even with the current interest rate climate, is that every $1 million in borrowing over 20 years, plus the average assessed property in town, about $21 to $22 a year. And so if.
But the average assessor you're using is 466,000.
Correct.
Which nobody has a house that's worth 466 anymore.
Well, they still do under our current assessments.
Correct.
They do.
So it's probably like $50 when you have the new assessment, so.
And we're doing new assessment.
Yeah, so I'm not disagreeing with you, Mr. Sears, but as long as we all commit to, pursuing Mr. Gottheimer and his group to
Yeah, I
get
mean-
us the money back, we should be able to get back on track and to get it paid by the end of the year. I'm hoping, I'm being optimistic.
Well, what
We're talking.
oh, too bad Mr. Buno left, but what is, when are we going to see that money? God willing, we receive it. But in the meantime, what happens to our roads?
Same thing that happened last year, we didn't pay it, and we paid this year, so they do miss a year sometimes, we did miss last year's paving and paved them a year late, so it's not the end of the world. I know if you live on that street like I did for the last 30 years and you're not getting paved, it's very hard, it's a very sad day, but we did miss last year's paving and paved them a year late, so it'd be the same reason, the 2020,
There was a reason for that, though.
because we hit
What's
winter
the-
time, it got to Christmas and we couldn't
But
pave.
wasn't there work being done, which was delayed?
No.
I don't recall.
Was it Viola that was doing the work on some of those roads?
I'm sorry, Mr.
Why did we miss last year's paving cycle?
Yeah, if you can, Mark. I think
We went
I know
out to
the
bid
answer,
late.
but I know
Went
I
out
know
late,
for
went out
sure.
late. and got-
Ultimately, the answer is it went out too late. That's why we split the DOT road this
Yeah.
year with what our anticipated roads were. So because of the lengthy approval process that was involved, it didn't go out to bid till September, then the pre-construction meeting, and then.
Would we lose
By the time
that
they started.
DOT funding for this year now?
No, we already
No.
bid that road.
That was
We
the
did
first
that road.
road.
We're doing that road,
That was
Mr.
Beach Street. So by time, December came along, it was too cold to do it. We weren't convinced the work product was going to be great. So that's why
That's a
we.
smart
waited.
idea.
Yeah.
So let me just put this out there. If next year, right, with this flooding situation, we're just covering a small portion for 700. If next year we have to cover another portion, does that mean we once again are going to put the road
Well,
program on hold?
that's why we've asked for a capital plan to see how much money we need.
But I'm
for
saying
all the
this
projects.
isn't on,
No,
this is
I'm
a big
not, I'm
project.
hoping we don't have any more hidden sanitary.
Well, I
needs.
wouldn't say it's hidden. It was on the
Well,
website for the last 2 years. So,
But we didn't know what the costs were until now. But I'm hoping that there's no other magnitude of this nature that needs
Agreed.
immediate, right? So next year, maybe we'll double it. I don't know. We'll see how the council fares, but I'm hoping that our
I hope we get that money.
I hope we
That's
get
what
our
I'm
money.
hoping.
Well, according to Congressman's office, who I've called once or twice on it, usually those congressional funds are dispersed very quickly because of its emergent issue.
I hope
Being
so.
what
I
they
mean-
said, and again, I have no problem bonding later on if we get that money in. No
I'm
problem
going to hold you to
whatsoever. I
that,
guess.
Steve. I'm
I
going
have-
to hold you.
You think
I'm committed.
you think I don't want to fix the roads?
No, I hope so because it was your campaign promise.
That's
so I hope
exactly
so.
right. That's exactly
And
right.
I
It
feel
was.
like I'm fighting for it more than you are. So,
Really?
so with-
Okay, there you go.
well, I'm saying I'm in favor of it.
I think everyone's in favor of good roads, right? But
Yes.
a sanitary issue is
Absolutely.
definitely more important than going down a bumpy road at this point.
I agree
Okay,
with
there's
you.
no doubt about it. And as soon as we get those funds, I have no problem, spending that amount and more if we have it. I have no
We
problem
have
with it. Hopefully, this year we don't spend as much, and in 2 years, we have surplus from this year that we can spend in 2026.
All right, we got to finish this vote.
No,
Okay, so with that being said, I don't want to hold up capital, but it is disappointing we can't address that. I will vote yes because we need to keep moving forward.
Thank you. I'll vote yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 24-11, an ordinance under Chapter 87 of the Code of Township of Washington setting forth the rate of clothing allowance of officers and firefighters of the fire department in said municipality for the year 2024. Resolution number 24-250, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 24-11. Do I have a motion?
So move.
I'll second it. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Recuse myself.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 24-11. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Just want to make sure there's nobody on here, and there is not, so. Okay.
We're not.
No, I'm just saying there's nobody.
Yeah, no, I looked.
Oh, okay, thank you. Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Recuse myself.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance 24-11 at second reading by title. I'll motion it. Any second?
So moved.
Roll
Second.
call. Roll
I
call.
think we just did that.
Who we did?
No, we're done.
We did close public hearing and then we adopted. I have you down as twice, so,
No, look.
yeah, you know what you're doing there, I know what I'm doing here.
Oh, okay.
All right, we adopted again. Motion to adopt.
I got it. Myself and Cassie.
Thank you. Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Recuse myself.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
and Council President DeSena.
Yes. Introduction, first reading, ordinance number 24-12. An ordinance under Chapter 87 of the Code of Washington, the Code of the Township of Washington, setting forth the rate of compensation and manner of payment of employees for the year 2024. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 24-12 at first reading by title. So I have a motion. Second? I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
All right, Ken, we've got 3 yeses and 2 nos. That's an ordinance.
That's good.
We should be fine.
No, it should
Only
be
the
fine.
bond we have to worry about, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Resolution number 24-251, authorize publication of ordinance number 24-12 and schedule a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
and Council President DeSena.
Yes. So passes, right?
We introduced it, yes.
Yes, the introduction.
Yes, yeah.
Resolution consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Consent agenda. Does anyone have any resolutions to be removed from consent agenda for discussion?
255.
255, thank you. Any others, ladies and gentlemen? Resolution number 24-253, authorize refund of summer camp after care registration fee, solid in the amount of not to exceed $1,450. Resolution number 24-254, authorize refund of summer camp registration fees for movies, Ercolino in the total amount not to exceed $25. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agendas as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Resolution number 24-255, authorize disposal of surplus property by auction on Gov Deals. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
So my only question is, the Scott packs, do we open ourselves up to any type of litigation by selling this type of safety gear? I mean, I'm assuming we're selling it because it's out of
Out of date,
out of
right?
date. So I'm just,
They would have to be scrapped. They cannot be used. If these are, their testing rates have been over a certain amount of years, you need to replace them. So if these are the ones that have to be replaced, they go to scrap.
Yeah,
They can't be used for breathing apparatus.
but we're looking to sell them.
They can be refurbished.
Or they may have a scrap value,
Not to
even if they're not used
Or
for that
maybe the other
purpose.
components to buy for the other components.
Oh, yeah, the breathing,
Yeah.
but these are tanks, air breathing tanks.
What's it called? Yeah. Well, then they buy it.
But these are just the packs with the harnesses. All that stuff can be sold, but they have to refurbish, like Dr. Cassio said, the breathing applicator within the pack itself. You know, they just can't be thrown back on. They need to be tested, you know, they need to be certified and tested that they're allowed to be used.
So do we, when we list this, do we put a disclaimer on it of any type?
I'll have to check into that, but when Fire Chief Miros provided me with the list, he would discuss other items that cannot be resold. These were one of the ones that could. So I'm assuming his word for it. But I could certainly find out from, Gov Deals or, what the liability risk is. But he had vetted all this information out, so he had told me, I forget what it was that we couldn't sell, that because of that reason. But this was on the list that he said.
Can we just put a caveat that this is not a life-saving device any longer or something?
Like I said, yeah, I will, before we list it with Gov Deals, I'll check all the liability ends of it. I mean,
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Collar, unless you have some others suggest.
No, I think you better check and
Okay.
maybe a disclaimer when you,
Yeah,
it's listed.
Okay, maybe that this is not fit for firefighting operations at this time or
No
something?
warranties. and-
No warranties or disclaimers, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Will do.
Express to employed.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Motion to adjourn to conference agenda?
Council President, 1 second.
Yes.
I just have a question. I guess this is for council as well as the mayor. I know we already voted on these salaries, but what's our game plan with a director of finance? Since we know we don't have one.
It's not up to the council, it's the administration.
Yeah, but we didn't fund it. We
We
don't,
funded half, I believe we
that
funded.
was just to pay.
Get them to half of this year?
Yeah, that's all we
So
need
now
to
we
worry
don't-
about after this year.
We don't have a director of finance, so that leaves us in a little bit of a situation. Which
Has
is why,
Mr. Corcoran submitted his resignation from Director of Finance?
No, he has not.
Thank you. So,
But does our ordinance allow him to be the director?
Yes, there's wording in the ordinance that says that the CFO may also be the director of the finance department.
So when his time is, I'm sorry.
no, I actually pulled that for
What-
that reason.
When his time is up, you have to go out and rebid, or do you ask him what he would like to be in
Well,
the next 6 months?
Well, the council funded half a year's worth of director salary. And so I don't know what he will do. I have not asked him if he will do the whole year or not. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to ask him till the budget process is complete. Anyway.
So legal,
I don't agree with what you're saying, Mr. Sears, that we funded him for half a year. We gave a salary for 1 year. It was not, the salary ordinance does not say it's for 6 months.
It's an $1,800.
it's 1,800, we gave him 9.
No. The request was 1,800. We gave him 9, but we didn't say it's 900 for 6
Oh.
months. It's 900
No,
for the year.
I must disagree with you, Mike, because when I brought it up, I said he's already been, you wanted to cut him to 0.
Right.
And then I said, no, he's already been doing the position, and by the time the budget gets
All right.
passed, it's not fair to not give him the pay he was expecting. So that 900 is for half a year.
Okay.
So legally, how does that affect our audit coming up or at the end of the year? And how does that leave us?
Well, there's nothing in our ordinance that says we need a director of finance. There's
But
nothing.
we have
there's
nobody
nothing-
to
there's-
supervise
but there's
these
not-
departments now.
What do you mean
Director of
supervise?
Finance was
Director of Finance
empty
is
for
I'm reading the
eons.
ordinance as it
What's that, Mr. Ullman?
The director of finance was
Empty.
a vacated position for years upon years.
That's correct.
I'm struggling to understand why
The
it's a
CFO is still
problem.
responsible to run the department.
No,
But we're not
no, he's
paid.
not. The director is responsible to oversee the department.
Well, who oversaw the department all the years we didn't have a director?
Per se, no one did. If the town did
I don't-
something
I don't-
wrong,
I don't-
that's
I
the
don't
way it's
believe
in the ordinance. I studied it a lot when you guys didn't fund it fully. You guys and gals, sorry, Daisy.
All right, well, until we have a resignation of that position, we'll discuss it then. We'll put it on the agenda.
I'm just saying that the reason that you do not want to include him goes against our ordinance, or give him the position goes against what's written here, that it specifically says.
But it's hard to fund something, I don't want, again, I'm not getting into labor about a specific employee until we write them and we discuss it in closed, because I have an exact answer, but I don't know if I can give it without getting myself into trouble. So I will refrain from what I wanted to just say. But I think it's something we need to discuss if we do get a resignation, we'll discuss it.
The reason that the books are getting, better organized these days with the assistance, obviously, of Mr. DiCarlo, is because we are filling the mayor's filling these positions. And now it almost feels like we're going to go backwards if we start leaving these departments open. We already voted, but that's the reason why I voted no, because,
I wish you would, so we should do that while we're voting.
well, you didn't offer discussion. Just like I couldn't answer Mrs. Lipnick's, we didn't discuss, you didn't ask
About what?
the dais about the open space. You just went on to the next person, so I couldn't
About
answer.
open space.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what we were doing about flooding, our opinion on it. So
Okay.
maybe we're moving too quickly, we just
All
need
right,
to back
that's
down.
fine, that's
So
fine,
we can
okay.
discuss.
That's fine.
I mean, Mike, if I can just make a real quick follow-up. Ordinances are meant to be changed. So I would hope if he gives his resignation, the council will entertain putting a new salary ordinance in effect.
That is a
perhaps.
possibility once we receive, if we do
Yeah.
receive his resignation.
Yeah.
So all in favor to adjourn to conference agenda? Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Next meeting of the Township Council will be on June 5th, 2024, beginning at 7 PM. Sign up for Nixle, text 07676 to 888-777, key code TWP Bergen, www.townshipofwashington.us. So conference agenda is back here. DPW building.
Stop it, the sound.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. DeCarlo?
Yeah, I'll take the lead on it this evening. I'm going to combine A and B, if that's okay.
That's
for
fine.
DPW and Police Department expansion. I hope you all saw in your packets the three designs that Anthony Iovino did as far as repurposing the ambulance building. If I could ask WCTV to put up the current slide, that way the public can follow along as we're talking. Thank you. So that's the current layout of the ambulance building.
Yes.
Is that Mark?
That's
Exhibit 1, okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Mhm. Okay, then you can quickly move to the next one, that is the overlay slide. And what that does is in that hatched area below, it shows the existing courtroom size. So this room, it shows the existing size. And so it shows that the building is a little bigger than what we would need to support the existing size. And then if you.
Well, we wouldn't be losing that much space.
No, not at all. No.
What do you mean?
Like we're only losing 14 feet
Right.
by 10 feet.
Right.
It's not like we're losing half the room. It's only, it's a small,
Understood.
Right.
it's a corner that we're losing. You can see what the
Yeah, and it
seats.
orchestrates.
You can see it with the seats.
Right.
You could orchestrate and see what it looks like.
Yeah. And so he came up with this just as a quick thing to see if the council likes the idea, the concept of it. We showed it to both the clerk and the planning and zoning secretary because they use the rooms. The planning and zoning was fine. The clerk did have what I thought was an excellent idea, and that was maybe to, in effect, spin that 90 degrees to put the dais on the wall where the kitchen and storage
Yes,
are.
I was thinking, good idea, so I thought the same thing.
Thank you.
Good idea, Stu.
And then move the chairs correspondingly.
Yes, and then it would give you more chairs, so it would work out better.
Yes. He left the kitchen in, and again, this is, just to see if the council likes where he's headed with this. I suggested that we remove the kitchen and make the lavatories bigger than just one stall. Because as we know, many nights when we take our break, we kind of flood the restrooms. So we'd have to take a 10-minute break to single thread through the restrooms the way he has them. He said that's not a problem at all. But he said if the council's okay with this.
Can we have him quickly spin it and show us what it would look like the other way?
Mayor,
Yes.
the other reason why also?
Yes, and he had mentioned that to make the dais also handicap accessible. Which was mandatory anyway, even though he didn't put it in this preliminary design.
Yeah, so
But
if we
it'll give us
spin it,
the
it'll,
extra
yeah, so it can
space.
come up the
That's
side of
what
the
we
roof.
thought.
We should be able to get ADA money for that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
I hope
Sure,
so.
might be able to get
That's
some money.
true.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Question, just because it's not here, do we need a kind of room for a judge? Or I know we're thinking of,
We're hoping, with the council's consent, obviously, to outsource the court by the 1st of next year. And so that removes the court in total, so we wouldn't need room.
But we could always make that storage room, the
Yeah.
judge's room.
Yes, we can also do that.
and perhaps an exit door from there? So that you're not,
Yes.
if you ever needed it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, if the council is okay with this preliminarily, what I will ask him to do, because, he doesn't want to spend the town's money if you don't like the concept.
Can we spin it and add the ramp, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, and then he can start to come up with cost estimates for it, assuming the council likes what they see.
Yeah, no,
And
it's a
and
good
then
point.
also what I would like him to do is, in combining police and DPW, is have him bring the price current for the original DPW building that just supported the DPW. So give us current pricing on that, and then give us pricing for the police department to take over this space and go out the side to give them the Sally Port that they're
Yeah.
asking for.
Okay.
So in effect, we would get all cost estimates for those three.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
And you don't need an elevator because this is one
No.
story.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's a.
And with the
that's a
ramp
money
coming up the
saver.
side of the room, it's
Right.
ADA accessible then.
correct.
And then that'll open up the
It
ramp.
solves a lot of problems for hopefully a very cost-effective
Yeah.
way.
When
Okay.
you say ramps for ADD, you're.
ADD.
Sorry. Referring to future council people?
Yeah,
Okay.
Or
court attorneys.
Or
anyway.
members of council, or members of
Okay.
council.
Yeah.
The boards.
The boards could have an ADA
Right.
requirement, it's a requirement.
It's a building requirement.
This dais is not as
Oh, yeah.
ADA accessible as you'd want, but
Mhm.
if we're
And
gonna build a
then
new one, we have to make it ADA requirement.
Okay.
A
No,
requirement. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The pricing you're going to get for the police department is not the one going up. It's
Correct.
You'll be
You already
taking
have
over
that
this space.
pricing from a meeting or two ago. I think it was 4.5 million or something like that. Yes, so that would not be part of this project. They don't need to go up if they get this and the Sally Port outside.
Have we started to compile a capital plan, like I had asked during the budget, of what all our expenditures, like a pie in the sky? Now, I know we don't have exact numbers, but just putting placeholders for 450 for the swim club, for all our other expenditures that we know we have coming up.
We haven't yet. I know, we're, I'll say almost done with the budget because it's not adopted yet. But I would think, give us the summer months to get that done. And then in September, we should have a good capital plan going forward.
And I know it's not on the conference agenda, but has the rec advisory board made a decision on what the uses of?
We had a meeting, I want to say all the members liked the plan. I asked them to, please give it some thought, come up with any holes they can find.
When do you think council can have that?
Oh, I believe by next meeting, next council meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question, suggestion. Since you're gonna give this back to the architect, would it be too much of an expense to do the bump out so that we square off the space? Just because of the visual of the last row on the right-hand side?
Well, you won't have that once you spin it.
Well, will it fit in that new space without that bump out? The
Yeah,
bottom left? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're moving the dais to the back wall along the kitchen
Correct.
storage wall. So your seats are gonna go in front, and you're still gonna have a couple rows back there.
So will these people in the back now struggle to see the left?
Not any more than they would here. I mean, it's the same layout.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
a similar
don't,
layout, just cut out that corner there where the metal detector is in this room. That's pretty much what it is.
I'm saying if
Nothing
we
personal,
square it out, what is that additional cost going to be?
You have to rip the whole roof off. You got a lot, it's a lot of work.
It's a brick facade.
Yeah, it's a brick, yeah.
We really don't fill the room half the time anyway, unless
Not
there's
us.
a public
Yeah.
presentation, okay? And even when we have those, it's standing room anyway. So,
Okay. Because as it stands, it sits 76. So I'm wondering how much more or less you'll
Well,
get.
I'm hoping that when he makes the revision, we'll get more, that they'll have more seats than what's
Okay.
shown now.
And again, more for the public, because I'm sure everyone up here is
This is
aware.
only 64
No,
here.
this is
Yeah, right now
not
Yeah, but right now you only have
You're looking at
64.
64. This gives us
It is.
76.
Maximum of 100 chairs in this room.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone up here probably knows about it, but just for the public, this is a space that gets used, give or take a little, 68 times a year, approximately 30 council meetings, including the budget meetings, max of 24 planning board meetings unless there's a big application, max of 12 zoning unless there's a big one, and 2 times a year for elections. So I'm very excited about this plan. I hope that the costs come in reasonable.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Good thing we didn't knock
I
it
think we
down.
all hope so.
Ordinances and legislations, commuter lot, continued discussion, fees current rate prorated to $60. Is everybody on the dais okay? Well, Ms. Witkowski issuing commuter lot registration starting June 1st, correct, Ms. Witkowski?
Well, if everything's good, Mr. Paul, what were some of the things we had gone through it briefly, but then we had talked about, I know we said the prorating would only be for this year. It's not, the ordinance is prorated, but we said this year we would make an exception, correct?
Right.
And then there was also an issue with signage. I think also we were talking about the designation of what spots were fire department, what spots were going to be commuter.
But that Mr. DeCarlo was supposed to look into that.
Right, Mr. DeCarlo and the mayor
Is he
did
here?
go out.
He's
Yes,
leaning
he
back.
is,
He's leaning back. He's like hiding. We were like, wow. I was like, where'd he go?
Yeah, no,
That's why the lights on.
yeah, no,
Oh.
I believe so, yes.
yes, so I mean.
So I guess we were going to designate the spots that the fire department's only allowed to use.
Yeah, we'll paint each spot with either FD or
Okay.
and number each one, FD 101 or,
Well, they have the big decals that say FD from the old lot.
Right,
They could just lay down and spray.
okay,
They did it on 4 of them already, I think, along the building.
yeah.
So right now, under the mayor and Mark taking Mr. DeCoro going out, there was 24 spots for the fire department and 29 spots for a commuter line.
Okay.
So again, the other thing we used to do is when we used to do beforehand, we used to do, oversell the lot, I should say. And it was first come, first serve. So I don't know if you still want to do that or not. I mean, we are getting phone calls.
I would
I'm
sell
not going to say we're
29.
getting 60
Yeah.
phone calls.
I would, because it's new, I would sell only amount we have.
That's
Like,
why I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
I need that direction.
Because it became a
Maybe for
problem.
next
Maybe
year.
next year we'll do
Well-
more, we'll do 50 next year, just like we used to. But I think now with the newness of it and people waiting this long to get it, I don't want to sell 40 and then have 11 people every day says, well, I needed a spot and there was no spot. So I think we should sell 29. Is that
I
okay with
agree.
everybody?
I-
That's the number.
I'm
you-
fine, I
Let's not
just,
be
but I need
United
these things
Airlines.
to, because I don't want to open it up and have 50 people and we go, oh, yeah, we can do 50.
First 29 get the first 29 spots. How's that, council? Everybody good with
And
it?
make sure they have their tag in the ordinance.
Yes.
Yes, they will have their hang tags that I showed you.
If they don't have their tag, the
They-
police are gonna give them a ticket.
Exactly,
Yep.
yes.
Anything
And we'll
else on
revisit
this?
that
Do we
for
want that?
next, we'll revisit that for 2025.
2025, we'll revisit how many we'll sell based on how many we have used every day, because I'm just nervous that
I
it's
agree.
been missing so
No, I
long.
agree.
That if we sell 50 again and 21 people every day are gonna be like, I had nowhere to park and I want my money back, and then we have to deal with refunds and all that, so I don't wanna do that either.
Do you want to revisit the cost?
Yeah, I mean, you saw the request, only a few towns that got back to me said they had them. There were some towns in the area, the Pasco Valley did not get back to me. Some people don't even have commuter costs. So I don't know if that's the other thing, what you want to do, or if you want to just finish off this year and then do that for 2025.
Yeah, I think revisit
It'll be
the
up to you.
price and the number of
On
spots.
2025, I think we leave it alone for now, Mr. Allman, unless you'd like to raise it. I think it's a service we've missed for so long we'll address it, I'd say, in November. We'll start discussion about it. And then we'll have a plan for January 1st, if that's okay with everybody.
I agree.
Well, you want to have it in place for January 1st, so you have a whole year.
Yeah, so
we'll
you'll,
start in
October, November, we'll start discussion commuter lots. I'll put it on a note for the agenda for commuter lot for October, November to have it for. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Ecology permits, continued discussion. We talked about the ecology permits last meeting.
We asked for questions, suggestions, nobody got back to me.
Nobody got back to Ms. Wachowski on any suggestions about the ordinance or anything. So everybody okay with the way they are, or do we want to make changes?
No, I think it's gotta be more enforced than what we see now. I mean, you can't have a caravan of pickup trucks show up repeatedly and dump, and they don't have the right, they have to have the red permit for a pickup truck, a green for a car, and like I said last time, I saw pickup trucks from Pennsylvania rolling in. Like, if they're doing construction work, you don't put your construction materials in a dumpster. I mean, you saw the green, the grass, and
Yeah, that's a
concrete
big, yeah.
bricks, you know.
Council President, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
Mr. DeCarlo.
I totally agree, Mr. Sears. I just want to give DPW the foundation to be able to do that. If you're not
So what do
opposed.
we need, you want to get us
I'm
ordinance
willing to
changes?
kinda put, if that's okay with you, to suggest some revisions to council.
Okay,
for
if you
next
could
time.
put together some revisions on what you'd like to see, and if you can.
Yeah, just, I'd like to definitely define construction material, and then that I believe it's a no, right? No construction material at all. And then define what light trash is, I think it was, and
Right.
vegetative waste. So, yes.
Well, I think construction material to an extent, like, you can't gut your entire house and bring it, but if you have
Yeah, it needs to be like a wheelbarrow
a
full or
wheelbarrow
something
full or
like that.
something, we gotta allow something, because
yeah.
you do end up with
I
some
mean-
little bit every now and
there
then,
was
but I understand what you're saying.
sheetrock and-
Like trucks full of sheetrock. no.
2x4s, guy breaks up his sidewalk and he's dumping the big concrete.
Well, we should not accept any concrete
No.
blocks, like that should, like all that kind of stuff should be.
Well,
And then
that-
the other thing was how we wanted residents to identify themselves, whether it was, because everything seemed to have a loophole, like if it was licensed, what if they didn't change their address yet? If it was a sticker, what if they gave the sticker to their friend? Is there any way you'd like to see that go? My suggestion would be the license, and if they haven't changed it yet, they can bring a utility bill.
Correct, that's fine by me.
Okay.
All right, is everybody okay with that? I know you used to get those little stickers. I know they said they don't give out the little stickers anymore.
Yes, we do.
They do.
We just don't have
Actually, don't
stickers
know.
now. We changed them to the cards because people were leaving them on their cars and they were going bye-bye when they traded in the car and then they were like.
No,
oh,
we're talking about stickers for licenses.
Yeah.
No, we're
Oh,
talking
the
about.
stickers for that.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
I see what
They
you're
don't
saying.
do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, they don't do it
that
anymore.
No.
So, I mean, if you move to township and you've been here, you have a utility bill, you come with your license and
Well, we
utility
need to
bill.
advertise that. That's what we need to do. Really, the one thing
Yeah.
we've been saying this past week, when people come in with them, we've looked at them, I point blank, they do not share with
Yeah.
anybody. So you cannot give it to anybody
Yeah,
else.
no,
We could
absolutely.
reinforce it verbally that
No,
way as
because
well.
the amount of tonnage that we're paying for is ridiculous
Yeah.
to dump.
Okay.
If I make just one suggestion, I kind of brought it up the last time we discussed this, is as new people move in, perhaps they're moving in from the city into, more suburbs, and they're not aware of this. So maybe we need to work on educating our our new residents on the changes, because they may not even know that this is a thing. So if maybe we can
Well, I
have
think
a
Ms.
handout.
Witkowski, when she gives them the ticket,
Is there-
you go over what the do's and
Yeah,
don'ts are.
well, we tell them, whatever, we usually give them the flyer for the BCUA and say, whatever you see on here, you cannot drop off.
But I think what Councilman Velez is saying is if so-and-so moves into the township, how do they know they have to come for a sticker?
Sticker or.
Well, usually,
They won't let 'em in.
usually when they get to the yard, that's how I found
They
out I
turn
needed
around
a
and they
sticker, is I
send
got
it in.
turned around.
That's why we have this problem.
Well,
They're not checking.
Oh, okay. Well, I know when I
Because
moved
that
into
way they-
town, I got to the yard and I was
Yeah.
told, hey, you need a sticker, you can't dump today. And I had to go home and then come in on Monday and get a
Some
sticker.
people don't even know there's opportunity to dump.
Yeah.
So that's what
well,
I'm
that's where
saying.
the
If
calendar, they ask for the
Yeah.
calendar right away.
Tell
We
them.
don't have one, but we've been, we walk.
We don't have a calendar.
I don't want to suggest it was done.
So if, I'm
All
just
right, maybe
saying
we put together a
educational.
little.
Social media.
Like yeah,
Big
something,
social media. Maybe we should
simple.
have like a
Can we
resident Q&A.
Can we do like a town letter we used to do and just?
Oh, I was just discussing with the mayor, maybe we can put it in one of the
tax
tax
record?
court, the quarter bills that go out.
Yeah.
And we could take
Yeah.
advantage of a couple
Okay.
things maybe we want to tell the residents.
something
might
they're
work.
definitely gonna look at,
Yeah.
right? And that'll be their tax bill.
A picture of it.
Well, not everybody looks at their tax bill and they don't pay it. Sample ordinance prohibiting sale of dog, Ms. Velez.
Oh, yes, thank you. So we had this on last time. You had asked to just bring it back. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it. This gentleman has reached out a few times to, I believe, all of us.
Yes.
This is not, I don't think this is a problem we currently have because we don't have a pet store. But I did tell the council last time that when there are pet stores, they are infamous for selling dogs that are probably not of the best health. So this, and then if, not only is it bad for the animals, but as, a customer, you're also getting, a bad dog,
Yeah.
right? An unhealthy dog. So this avoids all that.
But can we, Mr. Pollard, I know with the past experience we've had with our commercial zone in our town, can we prohibit tenants from going in? Can we change our ordinance to prohibit,
A puppy mill.
yeah,
Well, it's just
puppy
the sale of
Well, you
cats and dogs.
you probably can legislate an activity by the seller, by the seller of the store. But I have to look at it.
can you look at it, Mr.
Yeah,
Pollard? I just
yeah.
don't want to do like what
Yeah,
happened last
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and then we end up in court over it, so.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Velez, it's okay if Mr. Pollard just take a quick peek
Yeah.
at it and let us know.
And just to be clear, this is to protect responsible breeders because you should be entitled to buy a dog that would suit your family.
Absolutely.
So that's where, I'm not trying to avoid that, just putting it out there because there's bad
All right.
business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you proposing that we use the ordinance that was included as a template? Or are we going to?
I think I would leave that up to Mr. Pollard based on what we're allowed to bring to the table. It does read okay for me. Because it does discuss the ability to have pet adoptions and still protect, responsible breeders.
I think it's coming from that.
The idea is just to keep puppy mill dogs out. And
All
that's
right,
it.
so we'll
So
have
I
Mr.
think
Pollard look
that's
at
right,
it.
yes.
Can you look at the sample ordinance provided?
Yeah, I will.
Mr. Pollard? Thank you. Under financials, overtime, Mr. Ullman?
Yeah, you asked me to look at that.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah,
So Mr. Pollard is ready to speak on that. Is that correct, Mr.
well,
Pollard?
that's what I think the rest of.
You asked Mr. Pollard to review this, Mr. Ullman?
Yes.
So Mr. Pollard,
Okay.
can you?
All right, I'm just trying to get an overview, okay? So with respect to overtime, the Fair Labor Standards Act requires that employees be paid for overtime at not less than time and a half of their regular pay for all hours worked over 40 hours in the work week. So that's a federal law, okay? There are exemptions, and they're fairly specific. So There's an exemption as bona fide executives, administrative, professional, and outside sales employees. I'll go through these in a little bit, just to give you an idea, overview, okay? It also exempts certain computer employees, which I don't think we have. To qualify for the exemption, the employees have to meet certain tests of their job duties and be paid a salary of not less than currently $684 a week, which is $35,568. However, there are new regulations that are out, and as of July 1 of this year, they're raising that to $43,888.
So if you make under 43,888, you are not
Right.
You're not entitled to overtime.
Right. So, and then in January of 2025, it goes to $58,656. Job titles do not determine exempt status. In order for an exemption to apply, an employee's specific job duties and salary must meet all the requirements of the department's regulations. Okay? So just to give you an idea of, each, and I picked out a couple that might apply to us. So there's an executive exemption. Now, when I say executive, the two things I'm thinking of is executive and administrative, okay? However, there are two categories, there's executive and administrative. So, but it could overlap, so, but I just want to give you an idea of to qualify for the exemption. So to qualify for the executive exemption, all the following tests have to be met. The employee must be compensated on a salary basis at a rate not less than what I just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
The employee's primary duty must be managing the enterprise or managing a customarily recognized department or subdivision of the enterprise. The employee must customarily and regularly direct the work of at least 2 or more other full-time employees or their equivalent. The employee must have the authority to hire or fire other employees or the employee's suggestions and recommendations as to the hiring, firing, advancement, promotion, or any other change or status of other employees must be given particular weight.
So in our organization, only one person could do that.
Yeah.
So
And I don't think the executives in our, probably the mayor.
he's the only person that can hire or fire.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And exactly, with the administrator too. But the mayor is.
Well, his direction,
Right,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So in our form of government, no other employee other than the mayor or the administrator could hire or fire anybody, correct? There's no other employee, correct?
That's right.
All right, so
That's right.
that pretty much eliminates every
Right.
employee that
Right.
works in any department.
That would be an exemption, that would qualify for the exemption.
So Ken, does that mean I can put in for overtime?
You're executive, you can't.
I'm only kidding.
Now, on the other hand, administrative exemptions, and that's kind of like another category, but, could fall into what we have.
Yeah.
So to qualify for the administrative employee exemption, all of the following tests must be met. The employee must be compensated on a salary or fee basis, as the numbers I gave you. The employee's primary duty must be the performance of office or non-manual work directly related to the management or general business operations of the employer or the employer's customers. And the employee's primary duty includes the exercise of discretion and independent judgment with respect to matters of significance. Take that for what it's worth, okay? So there could be an administrative category, all right? There's also a professional exemption, not applicable. Computer employees, also not applicable. According to the Fair Labor Standards Act, the exemptions apply only to white-collar employees who meet the salary and duties tests set forth in the regulations. The exemptions do not apply to manual laborers or other blue-collar workers who perform work involving repetitive operations with their hands, physical skill, or energy. Okay? Exemptions also do not apply to police officers. So that's kind of the overview of the overtime.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Poller,
I know you're going to ask me to interpret these in terms of, okay, go ahead.
so that same FLSA indicates that every function or every person has to be identified as exempt or non-exempt.
Right.
Okay, so we need to do that. And really, the reason this came up, and, you know, it is quite possible I misunderstood Mr. DiCarlo's comments, but there's a difference between having a policy to not pay overtime and a policy where people are working beyond 35 hours and are not being paid overtime. And what I interpreted Mr. DiCarlo's comments to be were that we didn't have to budget for overtime because none of our lines include overtime other than police, I believe, and DPW.
Because of collective bargaining.
Because of
Which is
collective
correct,
bargaining.
correct.
So it's easy.
So there's no overtime paid
Anywhere else?
for any other department. But that also means that people can't work in excess of 35 hours. And that's the rub, because that's not what I understood that to be the case. I understood that they were finishing a task that may take them beyond 35 hours, but they were not being compensated for it because there's a policy of no overtime.
Can I clarify, Mr. DeSena?
If Mr. Ullman's done, I don't know if he's done with his comment, but before you jump in, Mr. DeCarlo. So I mean, Mr. Pollard, would you recommend that the administration look at the salary compensation we just had and add an exempt or non-exempt label to each, or group, or that's not required?
No, not required.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, just implementing whether they get paid or not. So you wouldn't be putting it into an ordinance.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
No, you wouldn't do that.
So our policy indicates that no one will receive overtime without the approval of the chief executive officer, which is the mayor. Since I've been here, no one has been approved for overtime. Overtime, with Mr. Pollard just said, and under my own research, is 40 hours, not 35.
That's
Our
correct. That
employees-
is correct. 40
Our
hours.
employees work 35 hours, except for the bargaining unit members.
But are we providing a question that when I was reading what Mr. Pollard has, are we providing comp time to our employees if they work overtime? Because that becomes a whole different animal, is what I was
You have
told.
no comp time.
We don't, well, do we have comp time, or do we not have comp time?
It's in the policy, whether we issue it or not.
So we provide, because if we're providing comp time, that's a different animal, it said in the fair. So if somebody's working overtime and then putting in for comp time, then we technically are paying them overtime because they are getting paid for the hours on hours they were supposed to have worked. So if we're doing that, then we got to revise this. But I don't know if we are or not. I'm just looking at it and saying, if we're doing that, if that's part of our day-to-day operations, which you're in charge of, I'm not trying to take that away, but if that's a caveat we have, that some employees do get comp time for coming in at different hours or staying late, then that's a form of overtime according to that.
Yeah, there's no formal comp time. And again, from my understanding, overtime is over 40 hours. Our employees are 35. If someone works a half hour, late, and I let them go a half hour early another day, I do see that as, our day-to-day operations, but there's no formal comp time that's being established.
All right, that's my only question.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this, Mr. Ullman, or anybody on the dais?
So
If you want to follow up.
do we need to identify the exempted?
Well, let me put it this way. You need to identify, you just need to implement. So if it takes an identification to do it, yeah, you should, as a matter of practice, do it. Not a requirement, you need to comply by paying if there's work, if somebody works overtime. So, again, you don't have to have a formalistic thing laid out. If you wanted to, administratively, you could, but.
And overtime is defined as time and a half after 40.
Correct.
The time between 35 and 40.
It's straight time.
It's not covered by this.
So if someone works those 5 additional hours, there's no protection under the law?
You have to work over 40 hours. They work 39 and a half. It's whatever the town decides the policy is, but it's 40 hours under this.
On the Fair Labor
Under the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Mike, I'd just like to make one additional
Yes.
comment, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. Our overtime policy that's in the handbook, we took basically from JIF. And so they have vetted it. And you know, if they're okay, since the town would possibly get sued over it, I think that lends some credibility to.
Definitely gives us a leg up.
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Processing fees, refunds, Mr. Allman under miscellaneous.
So this was just I don't know if we're continuing from the last, but we're waiving the processing fee for
Refunds for
refunding this.
Sports,
all
recreation.
things, yeah.
And I just, there's a cost to do that. If we elect not to do that, or if we elect not to recover it, that's fine, but there is a cost. There's a
Yes.
cost to process this, there's a cost to do ordinances, or resolutions, there's a cost to prepare the entries, there's costs all around. So if we're okay with eating that, then that's fine, but.
Well, do we
that's
really
why I
need to do
raised
a
it.
resolution to do a refund, Mr. Pollard? Or because if it's under 6,000, like I'm using, like Mr. DeCarlo said, anything under $6,660, right? Was that the magic number? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Pollard, not to jump you, but I do have the answer from Mr.
Good.
Paris. Yeah.
Okay.
We do not need a resolution for refunds. It's a practice, but you do not need a resolution for a refund. He definitely said it's definitely best practice to do a resolution for escrow and tax refund. But he
That I
said-
can understand, because
Yeah,
that's,
but he said even if you don't do a separate resolution for those two, there's still a resolution covering the bill list, which they're on. But he said this is our current practice. He wouldn't suggest, moving away from it for tax refunds or for escrow.
but what about all the other refunds?
But all the other refunds,
Sports refunds, right?
What's that?
Like the sports.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, do we really have to
refunds.
read all those sometimes, like?
yeah.
Can we?
He's not suggesting not do it or to do it, but he says you're not required to do it. So you guys could make a.
Can I make a motion to eliminate all things other than tax and escrow?
Did he provide you a list of?
What do you mean?
Or are those the only two?
Those are really only refunds we do, recreational, whether it's
Tax
facility
and-
use or fixed.
And building.
Yeah,
And building escrow, yeah.
yeah. building-
So I think building escrow, we still want to see, tax we want to see, but
Yeah.
all the others for recreation, if we can eliminate that, I'll put a motion
Saves
to
paper,
eliminate.
too.
Yeah, it saves us some paper and reading time, so I'll make a motion to eliminate the refunds for recreational refunds. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Just for the resolution.
Just for, yeah, we're still gonna give the refunds, but we're not gonna read them on the resolution list any
Should
longer.
give no refunds.
What about the?
Mike, again, if I could make a quick comment.
Sure.
Years ago, we used to charge a processing fee of like $20, $25.
Yeah.
That's when we were issuing checks back to people, and that had a cost. Now everything we get through REC is through Community Pass, which is credit card, and so there's no longer what the coordinator does to process a refund, go into Community Pass.
Yeah, but
It's
we still
about-
paid a 3% fee on it.
Yeah, but that's absorbed by the program, so again, it's not a taxpayer
tax dollar.
expense.
Yeah, but it's still
but-
not
and
free.
again,
It's still, yeah.
In proportion to how many registers
Correct.
we get for all of our programs, the amount of refunds
It's
that we're
minimal,
processing
absolutely.
is minimal. So I don't want the council to think we're spending big
No.
money in processing refunds.
No, it's not a,
Right.
no. So I'll make a motion to suspend, to eliminate the recreational refunds. Do I have a second?
Yes,
Second.
Councilwoman Velez already did
Okay.
that.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
and Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoom public comment hybrid meetings. I had asked to put this on the council after, I'm all in favor of eliminating Zoom from our meetings. I don't think we need to do it any longer. I think the pandemic is over, and I think it's opening up an avenue that we don't need. I think based on the amount of calls we've had in the last 6 months, we've had a couple callers and they've been, not the nicest of callers. They were on there for their own vengeance or whatever you want to call it. And I don't see anybody raising their hand ever during the meetings. So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the Zoom part of our meeting going forward for the next meeting.
Public.
Public.
You still want to keep Zoom.
I want to keep Zoom for us in case somebody's sick or somebody's
And-
away.
And for experts.
For experts, correct.
And appearances.
Yeah,
by
but I want to.
Can we discuss this? for a
Yeah, sure. I made a motion and a second.
I make a motion.
Discussion.
Second.
I made a motion, so you'll
Second.
second.
Discuss.
Now, no,
Wait, time.
this is to eliminate it, and then we'll discuss it after.
Hello?
Yeah.
Wait,
Hello.
Let's start over.
I made a
You're
motion
making a
to
motion.
eliminate
Who seconded
Zoom out
it?
of the public portion of the
But I
meeting.
want to discuss it.
We
Yeah,
will.
you can, but you have to have a motion
We
and
need
a
a motion
second.
and a
Motion,
second.
second, then discussion.
To discuss.
Yeah.
No, it's a motion, a second, and then you have discussion on the
Oh,
motion.
okay.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made the motion, Mr. Sears had seconded it. Discussion,
very much.
ladies and gentlemen. Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
go ahead. Now you can discuss.
Mr. Flett, I agree with you 100% that, if it's that type of person or behavior, they're too much of a coward to come before us, and they hide on the internet.
Absolutely.
I would just like to leave one option open. If there is a sick or handicapped person,
Yes.
that they reach out to the clerk, and the clerk will establish their identity.
Just-
And if they happen to
Yeah.
call in on Zoom, she will know that this is the person.
Yes, she will give out only a call number
Yes,
to
that's
people
it.
that are requesting it. I have no objection to that.
Yeah.
And it would just be like any professional or person on the day instead of coming on
Right.
Zoom that day. You would only get a code from Ms. Witkowski. So that would be the only way you could access that portion of the meeting. So any other discussion? I know Ms. Velez.
You stole.
Did you steal his thunder? Did you steal your
stole my
thunder?
thunder.
Oh, did it really? Well, yeah, you
I
back
did
up.
all this
So-
research.
No, go ahead.
No. I actually agree. My issue of getting rid of it totally was for some of the reasons that you stated earlier. But as well as you saw in the packet, there were a bunch of different cities where you had to register.
Yeah, but those
to
are big
be-
cities.
No, I understand. We can, tone it down. But the reason for that was for a resident that could be homebound, one of our elderly residents who can't drive at night.
Absolutely,
prefers not
yeah.
to drive. So there are methods that they can register, and then Ms. Witkowski would send them a link as.
So I guess what we'll do is,
said.
Ms. Velez, if it's okay with the rest of the council, we'll add a little caveat to the meeting going forward. That, like we have, if anybody has a disability, please reach out to the
Correct.
to the clerk for any disability requirements. We'll go forward, and if anybody has any disability requirements for the open public portion of the meeting, please reach out to before the next meeting to obtain a code.
So what has been done in the past is usually it opens up, let's say the registrations opens up like Thursday, let's say, because we have Mondays.
Yeah.
It open up Thursday morning, and you have until noon, the day of the meeting, to
Get a code.
register and get it
Yeah.
set up.
So if everybody's okay with that, we'll just change the language at the beginning of the meeting, Ms. Witkowski, to read that if anybody has a disability requirement,
Reach out,
reach out to you, and we'll provide a number, and you will obtain a code
register
to register.
for meeting.
Okay, for the public portion of the meeting.
One more question, because I know Mr. DiCarlo had sent us that email regarding, First Amendment and whatnot. Does this affect what you had found in your research, Mr. DiCarlo? In terms of
No,
violation?
again, I mean, it was the recommendation and advice from the labor attorney as how he did research on the First Amendment. And then he had given a sample decorum
Yeah.
resolution.
Okay.
But
But the decorum resolution is more for a borough form. I read it. It's really geared for a borough form of government. It would have to be retweaked by Mr. Pollard because it's
Yeah.
not for our form of government because it puts the power in the wrong person. But I don't even want to go there
No.
because I think it sets us up for people coming here then to be obnoxious and rude to us because we're issuing that decorum. So I think we leave it alone for now. We remove the Zoom from the public portion unless you're disabled or you have an issue and you register first before you come here.
So-
If everybody's okay with that, yes, Mr. Owens.
No, I think that's great, but is it one or the other?
What do you mean?
Well,
You can't be in person and call on Zoom.
no, but you mentioned disabled or elderly,
Ms. Witkowski will have to use her judgment on to why they're requesting.
But how am I gonna know if somebody's disabled, if they're on the phone? I mean,
That's my
without
only
getting
thing.
HIPAA,
If
I don't know about
No.
that.
If they need to register.
That could be a problem.
They would know their address. You would know.
But you would know their address, you'd know where they
They
live in
would be a town resident. Follow up by a phone call back to them to verify they're there.
They don't have to be a town resident, number one.
Well, yeah, they don't have to be a town resident, and
And how
sometimes.
do you
it's not
verify
them.
whom they are? They give you, yeah, I live on
And
725
how do we do it?
Beach Street. How do you get, how do you confirm?
I'm not sure you can do it.
There
I think
are,
we can
some
do
of these links actually have that as a, I would have to go back to see
Well, just so you know,
specifically which
I
one.
put a page in from the Zoom link here. So when and I've never done it because we've never had a situation where I can put in there that you are required to register in advance. That's one of the pages I gave
Well,
you,
you
so
could
we
do-
can do that.
If
Right.
they're
It's not, we can't.
handicapped, then they're gonna have identification.
But I
Yes.
don't know if I have the right to ask them that though, under HIPAA.
But you don't.
I don't know. I mean.
Well, you're not getting the diagnosis, you
You're
just need,
not, that's what you're not,
Okay.
you don't have to worry about HIPAA.
You're
All right, they're
registered.
comfortable with offering me the information.
yes.
Well, there were like fields where you could enter that in.
Okay.
All right, I'll look at the Zoom and see if we can do that or not.
All right,
We might
no
be able
problem.
to.
Mike, can I just make a real quick comment?
Sure.
I like uniformity where it makes sense, and although we can't impose anything on the zoning and planning.
I would ask them to do the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Councilman Ullman and I can bring it back to planning if the council wants to write a quick letter to the zoning board. saying, This is what the council is doing.
I'll prepare a
Does
quick
the-
letter to
does the
zoning.
board.
I'll reach out to the
say-
zoning board president and
Recommend.
chairman and make a recommendation to him if you don't.
Okay.
Council, is that okay?
I agree.
All right, so Mr. Ullman and Mayor Calamari will reach out to planning board, and I'll reach out to the chairman of the zoning board and tell him what we've done for the council and see if he or she would like to follow. suit.
Do it at Board of Health as well, because that's open to the public.
Yeah, but they don't do recordings.
Oh,
No,
they're.
it's an advisory board. They don't do anything like this.
Okay.
They'll have to come in person.
All right, we're going to move the council meeting safety procedures to closed session as per Mr. Pollard's recommendation from Ms. Velez. The shared service agreement with Ridgewood Expanded Polystyrene Packaging Recycling Services. Sue and Mr. Sears?
That's coming up. We need to renegotiate that.
So did they ask us for more money or anything, or it's the same agreement as it was?
No, I don't think they asked for any money. Any extra.
I'm okay with putting it on for the next meeting if everybody else is.
But we gotta reach out to them. The styrofoam recycling.
Ask for.
Less than 189.
All right.
The current agreement's in the packet.
Yeah,
It's in the
that's
packet.
great.
It's in the packet.
I didn't see the
It's in
number.
the
Yeah,
packet.
yeah.
I'm lazy, I didn't read it. So I asked Tom.
It's in there. It wa-
Tom knows
they
all the
didn't-
numbers, so I asked him.
They didn't increase.
It did not increase.
They not increase.
Okay. All right, last thing, we're going into closed session, resolution number 24 dash.
I want to say 257. I think it's 257.
Yeah.
Yes.
Resolution number 24-257 to discuss the council meeting safety procedures. Motion to enter into closed session.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's take a 5-minute recess so Ricky can turn off the cameras and the microphones and we can clear the public out. So many people here.